One of the first things I spotted when I arrived at the LSE was that the IT department really didn't support Macs or the Mac infrastructure. There continues to be a fairly exponential rise in the appetite for Macs across the world. That's reflected in our students and our academic staff here.
We traditionally are a Windows environment and that is very well managed. We had an increasing number of unmanaged Apple devices. So there was a need to implement some form of centralized management for Apple.
The approach we've taken with managing iOS devices and Apple devices in general is to be as direct as possible in our interactions with the users. So with that in mind, we've developed a service that is as open and direct as possible in provisioning devices, provisioning applications. Users have tools at their disposal that they can use to interact directly with the back-end systems such as LSE self-service. This way they're able to install applications or perform management tasks 24 hours a day without necessarily having to contact us first, and regardless of where they're based, whether on campus, off-site or even in other countries.
We have what we call an iRoam facility where we have some vending machines that students can use to borrow Macs from within the library. Very, very popular.
To get the laptop out, all you need to do, scan your cards, and then you type in your PIN, which is automatically generated when you requested one. And then once that's done that, it will flash up on the screen what laptop's yours. You go up to it, scan your card again. Once you scanned your card, you can take the laptop. You can use the laptop anywhere within the library.
I've just used the iRoom service for the first time, and it was quick and easy, and the instructions were easy to follow.
I use the iRoam service quite a lot. If ever I go to the library and I don't find a computer available, then I often go to the iRoam because there are usually more Apple Macs available as opposed to just the normal computers on lower ground.
This is my first time using this service, so I think it's a really interesting way, because for me personally my laptop is too heavy, so to be able to come to the library and borrow one is very helpful for me.
One of the benefits we've had in doing this and having the Apple specialist as part of the systems team is it's brought together our new Apple managed environment and the user-focused approach with that alongside our traditional Windows environment, and given us a better sense of how we should develop the desktop and the delivery of applications for our users in the future.
What we have is this big table in the middle of the room which contains 10 iMac computers housed within it. And then those computers all link to virtualized Windows servers. So people coming for training basically choose. They can say, I'm a Mac user, I want to use the Mac, or they can connect through to the Windows desktop and do it all in Windows.
All the computers I've used in the library or in my office are not Macs, and I use a Mac at home. So for me it's a much more pleasurable experience to use a Mac because I know how to use it, and also it's much quicker and much more interactive, and so I'm happy that they are moving towards them.
It was set up for Macs. I'd never used a Mac before, and so the instructor just quickly changed it over to Windows, which was very helpful and was done very quickly and easily as well, so that was good.
The Amber Room has provided a great testing ground to try out these kind of environments. There's been a continual process of incremental improvement as we've found problems with the setup, we've found things that haven't worked quite as expected. We've been able to feed them back to infrastructure who've made the changes, tried those out, and it's worked. And since then they've started rolling this out in other places. So there's now a new computer classroom on campus which has that. There are new iMac computers in the library which will also have the same thing applied. Basically meaning that any student can come to any type of computer in the LSE, sit down, and whatever system they prefer to use, they'll be able to use it.
Apple at LSE is a root and branch overhaul of our Apple services, where previously Macs were unmanaged devices on our network. With Apple at LSE, we now have management of Macs and iPads and iPhones, as well as new services like a student MacBook loan scheme and the ability to run Windows applications on a Mac desktop.
It's a really good model, in my view, of how we can provide a central service, but there is an element of choice on which of those services our customers decide to consume.
The lesson to share with our peers is to look at how our users are using IT, particularly their own IT, and to be aware of the shadow IT within the organisation. That understanding should help us develop services that are more in tune with what our users want.